Let's talk about them all. Uncover their horrid secrets and who these people might be. People that you definitely wouldn't want to run into in the wasteland. According to the Oxford English Dictionary, a serial killer is a person who commits a series of murders, often with no apparent motive and typically following a characteristic, predictable behavior pattern. By this definition, a lot of people in the wasteland could be considered a serial killer. But I believe that the definition changes a bit when it comes to the post-apocalypse. I dive further into this in the video, but just know that it's hard to define, but hopefully you guys will feel the same. I want to explore them all, and undoubtedly I will have missed a few that some of you guys might consider serial killers. So if I did, let me know in the comments and we'll do a part 2 or something. Enjoy.
Seth, it's me. I found out what happened to the scouts who went missing up near the old art gallery. They're dead, Seth. I'm looking at a goddamn painting of Cal's body. Oh, God. What the hell did I do to him? Who the hell is there?
Admiring my collection. I'm afraid it's not complete yet. Soon, though.
Stay away from me, you psycho!
Yes, just like that. Hold that expression on your face.
Pikmin is a serial killer and self-proclaimed artist living in the Commonwealth, specifically in a trap-ridden building known as Pikmin Gallery. He's probably the first person that comes to your mind when you hear serial killers in Fallout, him or the Pintsized Slasher. Located in the heart of the north end of Boston, the gallery serves as both his hideout and a kill zone. Raiders who enter rarely leave, and those who do are often too traumatized to speak.
I heard Pikmin skinned Roy alive after he snatched him. Let the rats get at him. Gives me the creeps just thinking about it.
No joke. The faster we clip this asshole, the better. It always feels like something's watching me in here.
The building is rigged with flamethrowers and collapsing walkways, all designed to maim and kill in as gruesome a fashion as possible. You could say that the space itself is a reflection of Pikmin's mind, especially when you view his lovely paintings. Unlike most killers that you'll hear about in this video, Pikmin doesn't seem to actually target the innocent. He exclusively hunts raiders, which makes him a little different. Is he a vigilante or a necessary evil? Or is he simply a man who enjoys killing and hides behind the justification that his victims are bad people? His victims' bodies are arranged in artistic poses, usually displayed with splashes of blood and messages. And these aren't just random kills, each one is intentional. Throughout the Commonwealth, you can find Pikmin's calling cards, which are blood-stained notes left on the bodies of dead raiders. These notes typically include a red heart drawn in blood and have taunting lines meant to provoke more raiders into coming after him. If you come across one of these notes before finding the gallery itself, it'll automatically mark Pikmin's gallery on the map and add an objective to investigate the location. When the sole survivor finally meets Pikmin during the quest Pikmin's Gift, he's cornered deep in the tunnels beneath his gallery by a raider named Slab. Slab is leading a hit squad to kill him.
Finally got you, Pikmin. Thought you could hunt and torture our people to your heart's content? Only a fucking coward hides. I'm gonna enjoy killing you.
If you intervene and help Pikmin, he won't try to kill you as well. In fact, he thanks you and offers you a key to a hidden safe behind one of his paintings in the gallery.
That was close. Thank you. Those people deserved worse than death.
Why did they want you so badly?
A small disagreement. They objected to my hobby of collecting their heads. Let me repay you.
What did you have in mind?
A gift. Nothing more. If you visit my house again, look deep within my painting, Picnic for Stanley, and you will find my gratitude. You'll need this.
Inside that safe is Pikmin's blade, which is a unique serrated knife that causes bleeding damage over time, as well as a handwritten thank you note. If you do choose to kill him or let the raiders finish him off, the blade can still be recovered, but the note won't appear. After the encounter with the raiders, Pikmin gives the sole survivor a new nickname, Killer, and he makes it clear that he prefers to work alone.
As much as I appreciate your help, I work alone.
Despite his weird politeness, you can tell there's some tension or something in everything he says. He doesn't see himself as insane, but as someone who found his purpose through violence. Pikmin is described like Dexter Morgan, a serial killer who only targets other killers. Both operate with a code, both maintain their composure, and both blur the line between justice and self-gratification. Pikmin's version is different in the fact that he's not trying to fit into society. He's removed himself from it entirely. If you think about it, the Wasteland is a perfect playground for a serial killer. There is no society to conform to, really. Raider terminals and holotapes throughout the Commonwealth mention Pikmin by name, describing him as an elusive killer. Some raiders even warn others to stay away from the gallery altogether. It's not usual for raiders to be scared of anything, especially when they're cracked out on chems. So the fact that they fear one man says a lot about his reputation. Pikmin himself is a direct nod to H.P. Lovecraft's 1926 short story Pikmin's Model, which features a Boston artist whose paintings are eventually revealed to be based on real events. And similar to his book version, Fallout's Pikmin doesn't create horror for entertainment. He makes it because it's what he knows. His art is violence, and his gallery is a shrine to it. As far as to who he is beyond his persona, we don't know. He's just Pikmin, and we don't get much lore beyond the initial interactions that we have with him in the game. But it is pretty interesting that we get to have a whole quest with him, and to see his lair. And who would have ever thought that a serial killer could restrain themselves in a time where there are basically no rules or laws, fully on his own code?
Dogs? Good dogs. My dogs. Fiend dogs. Tear you up. Arf, arf, arf! Ah! Arf, arf! You hear from my dogs? Can't have my dogs? Here for meat? You can't have my meat. Meat's for dogs. Good meat, huh? Cat meat, rat meat, dog meat, maybe even you meat.
Violet is one of the top-ranking fiends in Fallout New Vegas, operating just under Motor Runner in the chain of command. She leads a small, dangerous outpost near the South Vegas ruins, but unlike other fiend leaders, Violet isolates herself from the rest of the gang. She's not surrounded by fellow raiders or lieutenants. Instead, she keeps the company of a pack of feral dogs that she reportedly breeds and raises herself. According to NCR Officer Major Daughtry, her bond with the dogs is so strong that they never leave her side.
Just watch out for the dogs. She raises them herself. Might as well be their mother and never leave her side.
Violet's compound also seems to be a reflection of her mind, which tends to be a serial killer thing, as you'll see throughout the vid and in real life, really. The area has cages and corpses with heaps of human flesh placed throughout. A lot of it is placed in the dog bowls. This pretty much suggests that she feeds her dogs with the bodies of those who get in her way. Terminal entries and quest dialogue heavily imply that she uses chems like Psycho to further enhance the dog's aggression, effectively just turning them into weapons. For someone who appears completely unhinged, Violet runs an efficient operation. In terms of behavior, Violet fits the psychological profile of a serial killer. She follows a consistent method: isolate, lure, kill, and feed the remains to her animals. These aren't defensive actions or opportunistic kills, but more like a routine. And if you didn't know, serial killers are sometimes classified into groups or names. So I think Violet would be called a protective serial killer, a rare classification which is usually applied to people who kill out of an obsessive need to defend or preserve a specific group. So in Violet's case, that group is her pack. Her murders always trace back to one motive: protect the dogs. She plays a big role in the NCR bounty quest 3-card bounty, where the courier is sent by Major Daughtry to eliminate 3 high-priority fiend leaders: Violet, Driver Nephi, and Cook. Of the 3, Violet is arguably the most elusive, while Cook is infamous for his brutality and Nephi for his raw violence. Violet is unsettling in how quiet and methodical her operation is. She doesn't need the theatrics like Cook. Her kill zone tends to speak for itself. And don't worry, we'll get to Cook more later in the video. Violet carries a hunting rifle, chems, and wears raider armor. She's guarded by her dogs at all times, including her lead hound, Violetta. If you have at least 1 rank in the animal friend perk or choose to sniper from a distance, her dogs won't become hostile. Which leads me to think that maybe they aren't as loyal as everyone suggests. Violet's death gives us some optional dialogue from other NPCs here and there. There's no personal reaction from characters, but the implication is clear. The fiends are more manageable without her. Major Daughtry will reward the courier with caps after turning in Violet's head, or even the mangled version of it, depending on how it played out. Cut content in the GEC reveals that Violet originally had unique dialogue lines. These would have let the player ask about her dogs, her relationship with the other fiend leaders, and her general thought process on the fiends and other things. These lines were probably scrapped to prevent people from exploiting the encounter, keeping her permanently hostile to ensure the bounty system functioned cleanly. Violet leaves a strong impression. She's not loud or boastful like the other fiends. She's cold and calculated, and that's what makes her terrifying. She's a raider warlord who chose animals over people and routine over spectacle. In a faction known for erratic behavior, Violet is disturbingly consistent. That's what makes her dangerous and why she's basically on this list. I'm sure there are dozens and hundreds of raiders in the Wasteland that have killed more than a few people, which would classify them as a serial killer. The FBI terms serial killings as serial murderers and as the killing of several victims in 3 or more separate events. Hell, all the protagonists in the series could be classified by this. But in the post-apocalypse, I think it's different. I think motive matters the most, the way they do things and why they do it. Violet undoubtedly enjoys luring victims to her den and feeding them to her dogs. She gets something from it, and that is a serial killer to me. Doc Morbid is the local physician in Junktown in Fallout 1. He works out of a garage-turned-clinic in a rundown part of town. On the surface, he comes across as a skilled and reliable medical professional. He's equipped with legitimate medical supplies, including antitoxins, stimpaks, rad scanners, and other pre-war tools most of the Wasteland would never have access to. Even more, he's known for mentoring others. Razlo from Shady Sands directly credits Morbid for teaching him basic medical skills. In a place like Junktown, having someone like him on hand makes him seem like a vital resource for keeping people alive. But once you start asking questions or looking too closely at his operation, it becomes clear Morbid is hiding something. If a patient refuses to pay for treatment, he doesn't negotiate or even show any concern. Instead, his bodyguards Flash and Cougar step in to resolve the issue. Victims are dragged down to Morbid's hidden basement, where his assistant Gretch helps him harvest human body parts. These aren't discarded corpses. Morbid actively processes people for meat. The parts are then packaged and shipped to Iguana Bob in the hub, who then sells them as iguana bits to unsuspecting customers. The operation is widespread enough that caravan drivers casually mention hearing about a doctor in Junktown who deals in the dead, showing that while Morbid tries to keep it quiet, the rumors have made it into the trade routes. I mean, his nickname is Dr. Morbid, so I feel like he couldn't be too surprised. If you investigate and follow the clues, you can catch old Morbid in the act, revealing the full extent of his side business. You can also choose to eliminate him and his crew as part of the optional quest Blackmail Iguana Bob. One of the things I find the most unsettling about this guy is how calm and professional he is. Even when you confront him, he doesn't react with the panic or guilt you'd think. He'll even offer you a dangerous deal involving eye removal, which results in you receiving the eye damage status effect. The whole exchange is weird to say the least, and it might seem confusing to you guys. It does for me. But it shows that he sees people as resources and not patients. What sets Doc Morbid apart in Fallout's world is how grounded his evil is. Unlike raiders or mutants who kill on sight, Morbid operates in plain sight. Clean clothes, calm voice, medical license, using the town's trust to run a low-key organ trade. Fallout doesn't officially call him a serial killer, but many people would probably categorize him that way, I think. And the behavior fits. He kills repeatedly over time, profits from it, and shows no remorse. He doesn't do it to survive or even in self-defense. He does it for the money and the control. His victims aren't random. They're targeted for their vulnerability, and their deaths follow a consistent pattern. He plays the part well. Calm, polite, and cooperative when it suits him. But underneath it all, he's a predator who exploits and cannibalizes his own people for personal gain. His character model doesn't really have a unique appearance, and there's no visual indicator of his side hustle unless you go searching. The basement beneath his clinic is where the truth is found, and even then, you can choose to walk away, ignore it, or kill everyone involved. So for me, Morbid might be the first serial killer that we run into in the series. Yes, he's more in it for the profit than the act, some might assume, but it's too hard to know. Maybe he does enjoy doing it, and the money is just a nice bonus. We don't know much about the doc beyond this, but I'd steer clear of this guy for my medical needs.
The is with the flamethrower? Yeah, that's a combination I stay the fuck away from.
This guy is messed up, for real. So fair warning for some of the stuff we'll talk about on this one. Cook is one of the top lieutenants of the Fiends, just like Violet. He's set up in a ruined building north of the South Vegas ruins, where he camps with some other Fiends and cooks his infamous stew. And then he obsessively thinks about his pet Brahmin, Queenie. His attachment to Queenie is awkward, and he has this crazy emotional connection to her.
Only one thing I learned about that asshole. Keeps a bunch of Brahmins. Most of them he roasts whenever he feels like it. But there's one. Must be his pet or some shit. Doesn't let anybody near that Brahmin. Somebody puts a bullet in her, I bet that'd piss him off good.
Killing her before engaging with him will actually cause him to go into a frenzy. He'll start attacking his own crew on his blind rage. One could say this guy is a bit unstable, to say the least. His reputation in the Mojave is brutal. Cook is a known pyromaniac and slaver. Victims include NCR sniper Corporal Betsy, who still deals with the trauma from his attack.
Cook, one of the fiends, ambushed her and 10 of spades. They both managed to escape, but not before Cook whipped her. Betsy shrugged it off like it was nothing, but her behavior keeps getting worse.
And then you have Pretty Sarah, who's a local pimp that was tortured and burned. One report mentions that after purchasing captives from the West Side slavers, he forced the women to watch as he burned a teenage boy alive. And these aren't one-off incidents. His behavior follows a pattern: sexual violence, fire, and psychological torture, often carried out in front of an audience. This dude is the literal devil. Based on what's shown and implied, Cook seems to fit the profile of a serial killer. Multiple victims, a repeated and sadistic method, and motivation rooted in domination and cruelty. I don't even know if anyone would argue with it, honestly. He earned his name partly because he uses fire-based weapons like incinerators and flamers, but also because he's known among the fiends for his cooking. Even though he apparently has the worst hygiene of all time, some fiends still consider him a decent chef.
Yeah, that's Cook. Ugh, did he always smell like this, even before he was dead? And the fiends let this guy touch their food?
When he can't get meat from raids, he turns to human trafficking, buying victims from slavers like Dermot and St. James. The implication is that his stew doesn't always come from Brahmin. Cook is widely regarded as the most disturbing of the 3 targets in the NCR Quest 3-card bounty. What sets him apart is how personal his crimes are to other characters. Pretty Sarah rewards the player with medics and caps for ending his life. Betsy, depending on how you handle her story, opens up about her trauma and shows genuine relief after his death.
You killed him? Well, shit. Here I dreamed up this whole elaborate revenge fantasy. Didn't really think I'd do it, but as long as the tubby bastard was actually alive, I could pretend like I would. Here, I owe you. Take it and get out of here, before I indulge my inner bitch and spoil the moment.
He's one of only a few characters in the game flagged with the very evil karma, putting him alongside names like Mortimer and Vulpes and Colta. What a great group these guys are. There's also unused dialogue in the game files that suggests he was originally going to have more lines about the NCR, his fellow fiends, his cooking, and Queenie. They cut it for the same reason that they cut Violets, I would assume. Even in a world full of maybe the worst people humanity has ever had the pleasure of dealing with, Cook stands out as one of the most depraved characters in the Fallout universe. The Pintsized Slasher is a pre-war serial killer referenced in Fallout 3, Fallout 76, and Fallout 4. He's mostly known for the 2052 Linden Street slayings in Washington, D.C. Reporter Walter Monroe's Capital Post article notes the autopsy measurements and a lone survivor's testimony, Christopher Atkinson, who watched his brother Sean die. He indicated the attacker was a child. Yeah, this is where the Pintsized Slasher gets his unique name and uniqueness to serial killers in general. Basically, the only killer explicitly portrayed as a minor when the murders occurred. Police treated the case as deadly serious, yet the public spun it into a campfire story. Parents warned misbehaving kids that a clown mask figure would crawl out from a doghouse at dusk, waving a toy knife. Capitalizing on this hysteria, retailers mass-produced the costume. By Halloween, it was the second best seller after Captain Cosmos. It's crazy that this society was already desensitized enough to market child murder for profit. Blows my mind. Vault 112's overseer Stanislaus Braun later placed the outfit into his Tranquility Lane simulation, letting you don the mask and terrify the virtual residents. But its inclusion wasn't random. Braun seemed fascinated by the legend and saw it as a ready-made tool for psychological torment. NPCs will just run away the moment they see the mask, so there's definitely some trauma there. In the loading screen for Tranquility Lane, when the newspaper regarding the United Nations disbanding appears, on the right-hand side is an article mentioning the Pintsized Slasher. You can actually read the full newspaper article by entering the Capital Post newspaper office. What American child alive hasn't heard the story of the Pintsized Slasher? The diminutive demon in a clown mask who stalks and slashes the innocent residents of supposedly safe suburbia. It's just one of the many folk stories parents use to scare their youngsters into behaving themselves. Or is it? According to Germantown Police Chief Joseph Field, the Pintsized Slasher may be more real than many people would like to admit. After reviewing the autopsy results of the Linden Street slayings, we have confirmed that the force and direction of every knife wound are consistent with an attack from a much smaller assailant. A child, to be precise. Add to the sinister forensic findings this statement from Christopher Atkinson, the one surviving victim of the adolescent assassin, and it becomes clear that the Pintsized Slasher does indeed walk among us. The clown, he's going to kill us all. Do you understand me? He stabbed my brother Sean right in the face. He killed my brother. The little clown. But assuming the Pintsized Slasher is indeed real, tangible threat to peace-loving residents of DC's suburbia, one question remains. Why? What could possibly motivate a child to don a clown mask and murder innocent people in cold blood? We may never know. At least not until the miniature maniac is brought to justice. Until then, all we can do is lock our doors, kiss our children goodnight, and pray they live to see the morning. The slasher resurfaces later on in Fallout 4 in the Creation Club. A ghoul finds an original costume and then he kills an innocent passerby over it. They then start haunting College Square Station under the slasher's name and looks. I think Bethesda were kind of suggesting that the Pintsized Slasher will be a figure in the lore forever. Anyone can take up the look and pretend to be the slasher. It's pretty cool. In Fallout 76, the costume is available again, and the loading screens reproduce headlines from the 2052 article, reminding people that the legend began with an actual string of homicides. Sadly, we have no information on who the slasher is or was, just the eyewitness account from Atkins calling him a male. There are theories online that he possibly ended up in the Parsons State Asylum and then escaped. But it's all theories, and the actual Pintsized Slasher is never mentioned in this. So for now, this is what we have. But imagine he became a ghoul and is now immortal, still out there doing what he does best. The Nuka Killer is a pre-war serial killer mentioned in Fallout 4, known for operating in the greater Boston area before the bombs fell. While the total number of victims is unknown, at least 3, Gonzalez, Yavitz, and Wright, are confirmed through evidence logs and terminal entries found at the Nahant Sheriff's Department. You also find more at East Boston Police Station and the Coast Guard Pier. These locations document an active investigation that never reached a conclusion. The killer got their nickname from the signature left at each crime scene, Nuka-Cola bottle caps placed in the eye sockets of the victims, which is kind of a badass calling card, at least for Fallout anyways. Investigators also noted that all the victims were found with water-damaged clothing, leading to speculation that drowning played a role in the murders, possibly as the method of execution or part of the killer's disposal process. Basically, his ritual is laid out for us, which definitely pins them as a serial killer. The case was being tracked by Federal Officer A. Jeanette of the Serial Homicide Division and Sheriff Taylor from Nahant. The crimes had escalated enough to draw federal attention, but all leads appeared to have dried up before the bombs dropped, leaving the case unsolved and the killer's identity unknown. Unfortunately, we never find the Nuka Killer and they're only mentioned in a few terminals, but the details fit the pattern of a methodical serial killer. The repeated use of bottle caps in the victim's eye sockets points to a need for consistency, ritual, or maybe even a message. Possibly one for Nuka-Cola Corporation. Maybe they caused some accident to occur in this person's life and they wanted revenge or to leave a message. Some people think that the Nuka Killer could have been a disgruntled Nuka-Cola employee, or an obsessed fan, or someone using the bottle caps as a way to mock the culture around them. None of these theories are confirmed, but it's hard to deny the bottle caps not being a message. Why are they always Nuka-Cola caps and not just any bottle caps? Unfortunately, this is all we have on the Nuka Killer. I doubt it'll ever be expanded on really, but the pre-war serial killers seem to be adding up, honestly.
Here we are, Detective. If you followed my instructions, you're alone. And well, if you aren't, I've already left. You better be alone. Well, come on in. I've put my work on display down here, and I'd very much like you to see it.
The Fens Phantom is another pre-war serial killer mentioned in Fallout 4, who stalked Boston long before the bombs fell. Every lead in the case points to the Fen Street sewer, a maze of brick tunnels beneath the ballpark district that the Phantom turned into a private gallery of death. At least 24 victims, counted by matching the chalk X marks to intact skeletons, rib cages, and skulls, were posed in corners or propped at junctions. Some were placed as if they're seated for a portrait. Others are found in carefully staged piles. The crime scene count makes him one of the most prolific killers in the Commonwealth lore. You'll learn about him through a set of holotapes labeled Dear Detective. Each tape is addressed to the Boston investigator assigned to the case, and each one is creepier than the last.
I want you to appreciate your surroundings, Detective. I can only be myself in a place like this. Life up there is exhausting. Every day you smile at people who don't care about you one way or another because that is what you do. Down here, I really get to live. I'm happy to share it with you today, Detective.
The Phantom's voice stays calm, never shouting, as he explains that life up there feels phony while life down here lets him be authentic. He calls the sewer his home and tells the detective to appreciate the surroundings, and that every display is meant to be viewed, almost as if the murders are an artistic expression, similar to Pikmin, I guess. It's clear to me that he has this sick fantasy of being caught, but he also wants to be understood.
I am getting so anxious about our meeting, Detective. You know, I think I have only ever wanted someone to know me. And really, I can't think of anyone who knows me as well as you do. I am your object of fascination, and you have become mine. It's humbling, Detective.
The chalk marks are drawn in clusters, maybe meaning the Phantom revisited old scenes to add victims over time. The graffiti might say things like "see me" and "listen," reinforcing the theory that these kills were staged messages rather than random violence. Some people think that this skeleton, who's dressed in tattered detective clothing and slumped against the wall near the end tape, might be the investigator that he lured underground, but we're never really told that. Bethesda gave the Phantom a unique NPC model, reused from a cut character named Arnie, even though he never appears in person. So maybe at some point they were considering adding him to the game for something. There's also no date stamped on the tapes. The context of the tapes makes me assume the killings probably happened sometime between 2060 and 2076. Late enough for the holotape recorders to be commonplace, but before the war interrupted police work. The case file never made it beyond the evidence room, and when the bombs dropped, any hope of IDing the culprit vanished with it. The holotape survived, preserving his monologue and leaving his fate an open question. The Phantom is another killer left in mystery.
I didn't want to hurt you, Detective. I didn't want to hurt you. But you hurt me first. Now, I know you didn't mean those things you said, and I forgive you, Detective. It doesn't matter anymore. Now, you're here with me. And we have all the time in the world to get to know each other.
I contemplated putting people in the video like Mortimer from the White Glove Society or Leggett Lanius, but things about them for me never really fit the bill for a serial killer, at least not in the new sense of the word. But if you guys think they should be in the video, or anyone else really, then just let me know. I'd love to make another video on this stuff. If you made it this far, I really appreciate you watching. If you enjoyed, then maybe consider leaving a like. Remember guys, enjoyed time is never wasted time, and I'll see you in the next.